Hello and welcome to.
Hey, we like your pod. Whoa, what's our show called, Don? I don't even know what's going on. I got so discombobulated from hearing the opening theme song speeding up and slowing down. That was super weird. Was it doing that on your end too?
No.
Oh yeah, it was like variable speed. It was like somebody was like messing with a turntable. But yeah. Hey, we like your pod is the name of the show. And for those who are watching live, of course, that would be Joe and True North. Love you guys. Sorry for starting late. We were having some technology issues, but we are here now. For those listening on your podcast platforms, then you don't even know what I'm talking about. But suffice to say, we're here now. And we've got Iowa Joe coming in hot on the top here with our or are we still in negotiations to get Matt out of solitary? I have not put up my flag yet behind me. I know I keep saying I'm going to do it. I keep threatening one of these days I will. And True North says I did not vote for Matt for host of the year. He's talking a relation here to Lombardi's Bar. Not only only because I'm not on social media, not because of his incarceration status. I got one vote for MVP for Lombardi's Bar yesterday, which I did not expect. It was very nice of whoever. I think Jay took credit for that, which was very kind of him. So, it was the last episode of Lombardi's Bar. Bummer for to end for the season. I'm going to get into that a bit more in a minute, but Dawn, I'm monopolizing it. How are you? Let me get out of the way for a second.
I'm okay. And I again, it's my fault we were late for those who were waiting live for us. My fault. I am just super happy that we're not going to have to see or hear about Shirtless Ben or Mr. Fingernail Polish for a while. Super excited about that. Did it just like out of my consciousness for a while. Mm-hmm. Very much looking forward to Sunday's games. And I mean, I'm not that much of a hater that I can't still enjoy football when my team's not, in it. I did want to say that, okay, I have a little spiel here. So I have maintained that the Broncos, and I've said this all season, the Broncos are the Bears of the AFC.
Whoa.
Because they had kind of a soft schedule, and I'm really not dissing either team. They both performed very well this year. So congratulations for that. But I do expect the Patriots to kind of take care of business. But I also feel like the Seahawks, since they look so solid, it's like if this season has taught us anything, it's anyone's guess what's going to happen with Seahawks Rams. The Rams are definitely more scrappy. And then, of course, I think the Seahawks are going to do everything that they can to poke Darnold and have him fall apart as he's wont to do. So, poor guy. But yeah, so I'm really less certain about the NFC. I mean, not that I'm certain about Broncos Patriots either. I think everyone's kind of struggling to pick a team. I don't normally even pick, but I feel like the Seahawks would be the safe choice to win. But yeah, the Patriots are also safer, especially because of the whole Jared Stidham situation that he hasn't played.
Exactly.
But they also have, I don't know if you know this or not, but they have they've lost their top two centers at the Broncos. So they've got a practice squad type, rookie type center. But my guess is he's been practicing all year with Stidham, right?
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah, he's raised him. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think his name is not Mustafa, but something close to that. I love his name. I don't know how to spell it again. Mustafa. It sounds like a Disney character name.
I'd say it sounds like Old Possum's Book of Cats is what it sounds like to me.
So I'd like to see the Patriots. I don't really care what goes on. I mean, I'm upset that the Bills are out. I wanted the Bills in there.
Bills were robbed. It's so upsetting.
It's very upsetting. It's very upsetting what's happened with the Bills in the off season. Like the next day, it was firing their coach.
Wow. And I was shocked when I heard that. Don, what was your reaction?
I was I was not shocked, but I was definitely surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I wasn't shocked is because I, in my opinion, think that that owner, what's his name, Pagula,
Pagula. Don't worry about it, Pagula.
Mr. Fracker. That's my name for him. So Mr. Pagula is a little bit of a petulant baby, and I don't think that it was a really great move. Well thought out, at least in his own words. It wasn't well thought out. Like, who does, like,
yeah, didn't he say like this was because they lost yesterday? It's like, whoa.
Basically, yeah, you saw,
said,
you know, you saw how upset everybody in the players in the locker room were, and so therefore let's fire the coach. In other words, and then he disagreed with the refs. He said, I told Josh Allen that it was a catch. Okay, so he disagreed with the ref.
Right.
So he fired the coach. So I don't know, Mr. Fracker, why don't you take this up with the ref or the NFL, not your coach? It didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense.
I have a friend who's a Bills fan back in Chicago, and every time there's like big things about the Bills, I always text him, and he's going through it right now because, you know, for all the heartbreaking losses in the playoffs that the Packers have had, you know, the Bills might have even more of those than we do, shockingly. And so, you know, every time they have another one of those, I'm just like, oh, Scott, I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah, it's really hard. I do really feel super for the Bills fans, and I'm a Bills fan to a certain degree. So, okay, Iowa Joe says, "Oh, football is still being played, huh? I thought it all ended when the Packers lost. It did in a lot of ways." Yes, and we don't have to fire Halfley now because he's happily the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and that's great. That's great. I think he's probably a good head coach choice for sure.
You're so over him. I still can't believe that you lost your confidence. Don, I still can't believe it. Yeah, I'm really happy for Halfley. I already miss him, but you know, there's always the chance we get somebody even better.
Yes, and just to be clear, I'm not over him on a personal level. I thought he was great. I like him personally. I think he was good as a defensive coordinator. I think we can do better.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Do you have somebody who you really hope we get?
I started going down that pathway, but
yeah,
I decided I wouldn't because number one, it'll be somebody nobody heard about. Hopefully not. That's not the case. But I do think there are some really great candidates, and I'm excited about it. That's the other thing that was really crazy about what Pagula did to his team and to the fans. That offensive move he made, because most of the head coach positions were already kind of being lined up at that point. And so the best head coaches, there's some conversations about that too. But yeah, I do think that's all got to play out first before we know. But it might be a situation, knowing Matt LaFleur, it could be a situation that has nothing to do with any of the, you know, what's going on with all the head coaches.
Yeah.
I would like to see somebody who actually wants to stay for a while and not go on to another position.
Be great. It's true. I mean, I thought Halfley might be that because when he showed up, he's like, I'm so excited to just be working defense. Like, this is my dream. And I don't forget all the college stuff that, you know, comes with that. And of course, obviously going to be a head coach in an NFL team is much different than what he was
different than college. Right.
Much different. Especially at that time, because that's actually changed a lot in the last 2 years with how all of that works for college coaches. But my point is, yeah, I thought he'd be here for a while, just like, you know, working on defense and just loving it every week. And then he's like, nope, go be a head coach. And I don't begrudge him that because that's the move up. You know, not everybody who goes into coaching in the NFL gets a chance to be a head coach. So how do you pass that up? You know? Right.
I kind of always thought that was going to be the case with him, that he was going to be considered for head coach. And he certainly has those qualities, which I think are great. And Joe said too, as far as Halfley compared to what we have dealt with in the past for defense, Halfley turned things around. I agree. I don't begrudge any of those. I'm not like, I have not lost my sense of reality. I just thought that certainly the last game I was pretty bitter about the defense. Yeah. Not having an answer for something that should have been fairly predictable from the opponent. So
I mean, that's not a bad point, Don, for sure. And I think having the team still be able to work without Micah Parsons and Devontae Wyatt, like it just, I don't know what he tried to do to adjust. Clearly it wasn't effective, whatever it was. I don't know if that's on him or the players or what exactly, but it does kind of feel like, if they were to crash that much on defense when they lost two very, very, very talented, very important parts, especially Micah Parsons, yeah, you're going to expect it, but to that degree, like, in the weeks after those guys were out, they were one of like the worst defenses by pretty much any metric, so like, how does that happen? How can we not mitigate it? That's where a coach, I feel like, can really prove their worth.
Right.
But this is not, answer. But I'm not saying you're talking into like,
No, but I will just clarify too. It wasn't only the last game. I mean, there were a couple of games where it's like, what happened to our defense? Like it didn't make sense. So I didn't think he was perfect, let's just say. I mean, I think he was far from perfect. So
everything after Denver is, where it looked rough for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm excited to kind of talk to you about what's going on this week besides the Bills. And I'm going to have to warn you ahead of time. Some of it is sort of left over from last week. I'm going to carry on some of our conversations. It's time for this week's Superlatives. And there we go. Matt's favorite part of the show.
The reason why people should actually watch our YouTube version of this is that they can see the stupid dances I was doing during that part. All right.
It was great. It was super great. Well, Maddie, so I know Maddie has a headache, so we're going to try and spin through this as fast as we can. I'm just going to start because I want to start with, actually I had something else first, but I want to start with a recommendation you made, which I really appreciated last week. Let me see if I can find it. Because, where is it? Okay, you had recommended a show with Jimmy Christensen, and he had Mike Daniels on, and you had talked about culture, and Mike Daniels was talking about culture, right? So I took your recommendation, which we all should do if you're listening to this show. Please take our recommendations and let us know what you think. So it made me think. I appreciated that episode. Love those two guys so much. But it kind of led me down a memory lane pathway. And one of the things that popped into my head, and I can't even remember what part of the what exactly Mike Daniels said, but I started finding myself remembering that weird interaction between Aaron Rodgers and Ndamukong Suh when Sue was playing for Tampa Bay. He had left the Lions, and we faced Tampa Bay down there in Florida, and it was like 650,000 degrees and 100% humidity. And for some reason or another, it always stuck in my head. Why on earth is Rodgers trying to yuck it up with Sue on the field? And it was so obvious to me that Sue wasn't having it. It was like he was treating Rodgers like he was some old man that he had nothing in common with and just was getting on with the game. And then later on, after the game, I think my sister told me that apparently Rodgers also suggested to Sue, hey, let's, chit chat after the game because whatever. And so then it was so awkward, I guess, that the entire nation, the millions of people who were watching it like me, were like, what is going on there? And so somebody asked him a question about it, and he answered it at his press conference, Rodgers, that is, that, he respected Sue because of his investments or something like that. But okay, so that memory just kind of came flowing back, and I started thinking about culture and how the team is perceived And how much of it, it does come from the coach, but it does come from a lot of key players, especially the quarterback. And I thought to myself, well, I don't recall the criticism of the Packers being soft being a thing when Favre was quarterback.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I think that he was respected. He was a wild man, and people liked him or didn't like him. And, they certainly are welcome to dislike the Packers if they're an opponent and all that kind of thing. But I don't think the reputation, in my short memory, really came about the Packers being soft until Rodgers came on the scene. And we know that Rodgers has a little bit of a unique style. Mm-hmm. I mean, a little bit more cerebral. He was super interested in, his stats and put that force first and that kind of thing. But it just made me think about, so I won't say that I disagree that culture isn't important, but I don't know that the mushiness that the Packers, that the reputation of the Packers is at this point is really because of the coach. It wasn't from, I don't think Mike McCarthy was considered soft, right?
No, not at all. No.
Right. And so this idea that Matt LaFleur is the reason that the Packers might be considered soft right now, I think it predates Matt LaFleur and has more to do with our former quarterback. And I will just say, I don't think that's going to last very long, because it certainly doesn't change overnight. But Jordan Love came on the scene a couple years ago, and he's like smack talking better than anybody else on the field. He's known for his smack talk. He's known for his toughness. He's not anything, not that you have to not be like Aaron Rodgers, but you know what I'm saying? I don't think that softness in terms of culture came from leadership, except for perhaps, maybe, just maybe, Aaron and his peculiar, curious way about him, his unusual style. Right, because you can't really say any other quarterback is a whole lot like Aaron Rodgers. What do you think? It just made me think.
Oh, that's a good question, because, I mean, Mike Daniels was, with the Packers during Rodgers' time, and I don't think Mike Daniels would have said that the Packers were soft when he was there. I don't think he would say that. But it seemed like he felt that after he left. So I don't know. The whole thing of like soft or not, like I've really been thinking a lot about that this last week, Dawn. And like I feel like it's sometimes people get reputations they don't deserve, and then just kind of sticks. Everyone has this idea in their head about them. When you look at it, like when Saleh was like, hey, you can push the Packers into the deep end and they won't be able to get out. That whole quote, that analogy he made. I think at that time that was fair to say, like, because we couldn't bounce back. And then this season we had a lot of those times where it was, just like we just collapsed at the end of the game, especially in the last half of the season. It's like, is that an indication of softness? Is it an indication of bad second half plans and schemes and coaching? Like, what is it? I don't know. I don't know, Don. There's no metric for softness, and it seems like like just an eye test kind of thing. I'm babbling because I can't even form coherent.
Well, it is reputation.
It's so frustrating to think
about. It is reputation, and I'm certain that anyone, especially on the defense, is not going to say, "Well, that I didn't think we were considered soft." But I will say that I really gave it a lot of thought, and the other reason I think the reason this all came together for me is because I also got a very annoying text, which just set me off right after the Packers loss from my dear, dear, dear friend who is, she's in her 80s, okay? But she's very much stuck in the Lombardi era. Okay. She's like, well, Lombardi, they would have never done this. And And so I was like, that's what actually made me start thinking about it. It's like, so you said Mike Daniels said this, I'll listen to that. And then what she said about the Lombardi era, it really interested me because Lombardi wasn't a smack talker either. He was very respectful. He had a way with words. He even, demonstrated that he had great respect and love for George Halas, which was the coach of the Bears at the time. So you don't have to be, and I don't think anyone would have ever considered Lombardi soft. or Bart Starr or Brett Favre. So it just kind of made me wonder if, and I'm not picking on Rodgers as much as I love to do that, because he just has a different way of, looking at the world, and he's kind of caught up in his own head and his thoughts. Then that's important for him to express those things. And so I just started wondering if maybe some of this was just, something that the Packers will have to shake off in time. And I think they're doing it, because I just can't. I can definitely. I mean, you can be. How do I say this? You can be a team that loses in the second half, or gives up, or tires out, or whatever. And there are probably a lot of teams in the NFL that do that on any given Sunday, and maybe a few times a year. Are they being called soft? No, I don't know that. I don't know that I've heard that about any other team.
I don't know. But when you think about like who is or isn't soft on the team, if I had to say one or the other, put people into those boxes, somebody like my guy Tucker Kraft, not soft. He's very physical out there. He's people are like trying to knock him over, and he's just running and like tossing dudes off. Some of those like crazy yak plays he had this year. Not soft, right? Micah Parsons, clearly not soft. Keyshawn Nixon. He's not always putting all the effort in. It seems like he's not always great at tackling. Sometimes he does look like he's really trying hard, and he can be very effective, but it's like inconsistent, So is Keyshawn Nixon soft? How about Rashawn Gary, who's like,
I think
jogging in plays and stuff like that?
Silly. I think he's more silly than soft.
Silly,
just
you think?
Yeah, but that's just my opinion. But I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to answer one at a time, or I'll forget.
So it's like, is it, when people talk about the softness, is it a lack of like physicality on like a really aggressive level? Is that what we're talking about? And is that something that you can, for like Matt LaFleur, if he isn't already putting that in there, if he's not already trying to do that, can he find a way to make that happen? Does it have to come from the players? Does it have to come from, I don't know, man, like you look at freaking Bite Your Kneecaps, what's his name, and for the Lions, suddenly escapes my name or my mind. What is it?
Campbell.
Thank you, Dan Campbell. Yes.
Oh my God.
Dan Campbell, clearly a lot of rhetoric, a lot of rah-rah, and so it seemed like his team really took that on, and maybe to some extent also, the Bears now with shirtless Ben down there this year. Are they less soft because of what the coaches are putting out there? Yeah, I don't know, man, because then also you hear about like in practice, Matt LaFleur will get on the players about stuff, and like apparently he is fiery in practices, and
he's emotional.
He's very emotional on the sidelines, So then his toughness, like taking out emotion and just being aggressive. Like, what does it mean? How do you do it? How do you measure it? I don't know. We look at like this,
or is it just a reputation thing? Is it just like a rumor? Is it this is a rumor that got started? Yes,
this weird, like a rap that you get. True North puts a comment here. I just have to make a correction on this for you though. True North said, Justice said it best, the Packers need to concentrate on the other RAS metric, the relative a-hole score. That's actually Andy Herman was the one who thought that up. It's been off repeated. But suffice to say, I mean, trying to find the people who have that sort of aggressiveness, I think, is important. I mean, for as much as the Packers tend to focus on the metrics, their S scores, even though they're maybe not using that specific metric, but things like that, they measure the same sort of thing. Sometimes it seems like other teams are better at finding people who are just like good at football. And that's kind of frustrating, because I understand the want to get like super athletic freaks, but you look at like Lucas Van Ness, he's like he's a crazy freak. They call him what, like was it Hercules or something like that? And he's been getting better. He's not a world beater. And those are the people who I'm sure, I don't know off the top of my head, who probably drafted in the same draft as him, same position. Hercules is what it is. Yes, that's right. Who are, doing better. And maybe they're not like as good of a RAS score, but they're better. And
that just sounds like player development to me.
I mean, that's definitely part of it too. But I think there's somebody said for like just, I just know how to play football well in the first place. Interesting thing here from True North, and I think that he's got a good point here now. Again, True North, assuming your gender when I say he, but more physicality on the O line and the D line, defending the QB after a borderline hit by the Bears. That's a good point because, back in the day, your TJ Langs or Josh Sittons would have gotten up in the opponent's faces for doing anything to the quarterback. And after Jordan Love, has been mistreated, especially that time that dude, I was at Tafanga, I think, like slammed his head down on the ground as he was getting up, like that kind of stuff. O-lines, mid Rodgers era wouldn't have stood for that. They would have been in the guy's face. There'd be a somebody tossed out for fighting,
Well, right. But I do think that is a big focus for Matt LaFleur's Green Bay Packers is to not have those kind of penalties, not because they're soft, not because they wouldn't want to do that, but to have that self-control, because honestly, it takes more strength to control yourself in a situation than it would be to just go off on someone.
I think you're not wrong with that, Don, but I also think that if you develop a reputation for like, we're not going to take your shenanigans, if you're going to try to come at our quarterback like that, that's how you build that sort of toughness. And it doesn't have to be like you're swinging your helmet at somebody. It doesn't feel like that, but just, showing up for your teammates in that way, like,
right.
You're going to do this, we're going to be in your face, I think does go more towards the toughness thing versus, though you're right about like, it's a stronger character to not fight,
we just don't. We don't need the penalties. It could cost the game. Like if somebody gets thrown out or whatever. So I don't think it's more of that it's because they want to say, oh, well, we've got more character. I think that's part of it, but I think it's more for we don't need any more penalties. Let's not lose this game over this.
Which is just smart for sure.
Numbers, it's just numbers.
These guys don't have big penalties,
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. Yeah. I still think that Matt LaFleur has shown enough. Like when you see the little bit of clips that we've seen from the locker room, he's really fired up and he's swinging his language in a way that he wouldn't on a press conference. You know what I mean? I don't really. What's interesting is I think this is a lot of hype, and I think hype matters. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I do. I'm just addressing the part where when I listened to the episode that you were talking about, that it just kind of made me wonder where this softness thing came from. I don't think it's brand new. In other words, I think this has been over a decade of this. Reputation of softness, and I do think that certain organizations, other teams, in terms of their organizations, their PR and their direction that they want to go to, such as the Bears, are jumping on an opportunity to are capitalizing on that. I think that, for example, this whole shirtless Ben thing, I think quite honestly, that is just and there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. It's just hype though. You can't say that shirtless Ben is more tough than Matt LaFleur,
right?
Or that he's less soft than Matt. In fact, my personal viewpoint of shirtless Ben is that it's a lot of false bravado. It's a lot of overcompensation for a really geeky, nerdy guy who doesn't feel like he fits in, to be honest. And I'll stand by that. Just mark my words. And that's fine too. I don't mind that he's. Here's another thing. Okay, so here was another that I didn't realize fit in, but I have another superlative, and it's most delusional NFL media personality.
Nice. I'll go with the negative one. You just don't have negative superlatives, but I'm intrigued.
Oh, you're gonna love this one. It's Rex Ryan, man. Okay, so I call him Mr. White Teeth. Mr. White Teeth, whom I accidentally heard thanks to YouTube weird autoplay thing when I was in the other room. So all of a sudden I'm listening to Rex Ryan, and who I cannot stand. So anyway, here I am, and he was babbling about something, but he mentioned, and I'm quoting, the Dan Campbell coaching tree. And I was like, what? I was like running to my laptop to turn it off because I don't care what he says. I don't want to hear it. But I was like, wait a minute. Dan Campbell coaching tree. He's been coaching as a head coach for 4 years. You don't get to use a coaching tree in the same sentence with a coach. So besides that, this whole idolization of Dan Campbell, Mr. Go for it on fourth, even if it kills your game and loses your whole season for your team, it overstates toughness, right? It overstates toughness because it's like, brains, do you have any? And it kind of romanticizes grit, you know, and so this whole song, and now crowning like a vibe as a legacy. What has Dan Campbell done? Have they even shown up at the Super Bowl yet? No, right? So culture isn't scheme. Okay, culture isn't scheme. It's not everything. So I love that we're talking about culture, but I'm just like taking this whole thing in and like, I think this is a lot of just fluff for people to talk about. And I don't know how much reality it is. And I certainly am guilty of getting caught up in that kind of thing because it's like, well, yeah, no, we don't want to be soft. We don't want to be considered soft, but that's just all I'm going to share about it. But yeah, I just think it's kind of hatched in the media and then people latch onto it for understandable reasons. But I do think that, you know, all Dan Campbell has to show for himself right now is having, you know, coaches getting poached by other teams, and we'll see how they perform over time.
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting, Don. Yeah, Dan Campbell coaching tree.
I mean, come on.
Maybe coaching bush. Maybe, I don't know. Not quite a tree.
Twig. Maybe a little twig. A little bit of seedling.
It's like, if you could say that Ben Johnson, you know, learned at the feet of Dan Campbell, and so did you know, the DC that left, whose name suddenly
I forgot who I like. Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn, thank you. If they both,
him up with the astronaut.
So if you could say that they like were influenced by and learned from Dan Campbell, then okay, we have a couple of branches happening, but I'm not going to call it a tree yet. Rex Ryan, come on, man. There was something Joe put here I want to highlight for a sec that I find interesting. He says something has changed in Matt LaFleur, though. When he first arrived and they had the joint practices with the Texans, Matt LaFleur was in the middle of one of those big team scrums. I haven't seen the type of Matt LaFleur in a bit. That's interesting, because is that perhaps it? Was he tough when he got here? Did he feel like he had to prove himself and be tougher? Has he kind of like backed off of that? Is it because he you know, is worried about getting the players ejected and you know, stuff like that? True North says Dan Campbell cat tree.
But you have to remember he's also a head coach, and so there's a certain amount of decorum that comes with that. I don't think we see, like I say, I mean, cameras aren't allowed in a lot of places at a lot of times. So I just, like I said, I think I understand and respect where it's coming from. I'm not like poo-pooing where you're coming from, where Mike Daniels by any means, but we'll see. We'll just see about that.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about for sure.
It is. Huh. I know. I mean, I didn't expect. I was like, oh, I'm just going to listen to this, and then I was like having all these thoughts. Like, oh, the thoughts they're everywhere. I can't control my.
And that's the thing. Like, whether or not you agree with what everything that Mike Daniels said in that, and other like things you hear about softness or whatever.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that it's thought provoking.
No, you know? I agree. Yeah, and I agree with him. Yeah, I agree with him. But it's like, all these other thoughts come up, and it's like, well. Maybe it came from Rodgers because it wasn't there before Rodgers, and you know, and Jordan's only been at the helm for a couple of years, and I think for certain, there's a lot of motivation for other teams, and certainly media who favors other teams, whether they want to be considered, you know, they want to be neutral, but they're not necessarily, you know, kind of just like playing into that reputational, you know, game. I think it's important, but I also don't think we need false bravado from some like computer geek who became a coach. I mean, because that is just really a lot of false bravado, and I don't think we do that. And I do think that when Matt is fired up, it's like 110% genuine.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. If it feels inauthentic from Shirtless Ben, but from
Mm-hmm.
LaFleur, it somehow it feels more genuine. And you know, we're biased. We're gonna more tend to think good things about our coaches and whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, that's how I see it. That's genuinely how I
Well, I mean,
perceive
and I don't see I didn't see Sean McDermott doing that, but I don't think I would look at Sean McDermott and be like, yeah, he's
it. Hmm.
soft. If somebody said it,
Right. No.
I was like, I don't think so. Same with, like, I think I mentioned Shanahan last week. You
Hmm.
know, he's very quiet. He has a different way about him. He's not, he's not an Aaron Rodgers type of weirdo guy, but he's got a quieter way about him. I wouldn't consider him not soft. I wouldn't consider, him soft. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I'm more suspicious of the people who are, I think most of the head coaches seem like pretty tough dudes in general.
Yeah.
Like Vrabel, and it was like I wouldn't
Well, definitely
want to
does,
go
yeah.
up against Vrabel,
Yeah.
but I don't think I would want to make Matt LaFleur mad either.
Sure.
Yeah. I think I've said that before too. It's like, I think that man has some spice.
I think so. I think you're right. You're right.
And so what do you
Yeah.
have, Maddie?
Oh, right. So, did you have more superlatives, or should I just like go through my?
I probably do.
What's that?
That was two. Yeah, go ahead. I don't know what I have left, but go ahead.
Well, my first one
Oh yeah.
is most fun discussion. So we had an unusual trio last Friday on Pack a Day because Jimmy couldn't be there. Surprise, surprise. And so to sub in for him that night, Aaron and Jen brought in Maggie Loney, who I feel like we've been talking about a lot lately because she's awesome. And if you heard that one, it was just a really fun listen, because we're still kind of coming off of like the season's over and it's kind of low because of that. But just like even though they were talking about how, they were still kind of sad about it, still their collective energy was just almost like almost giddy in a way that was like really fun to listen to. And, they were generally having a good time, enjoying each other's, ideas and presence. And the whole vibe was just like, it was awesome. It was like the first, like, really happy podcast I think that I've listened to since the end of the season. And it was delightful. It was joyful. Nice. I really liked it. And also we don't get a lot of Maggie Loney on podcasts these days since she's thing. And since this Apex, what she said is on a mini hiatus, I believe. So to have the chance to hear her, and it's always a good time. So that was a good one. Last Friday's Pack a Day.
That sounds great. That sounds like a good, still valid to listen to it today.
Yeah, because they actually had a topic, and the topic was like, roster hot takes. So, trying to like provoke these folks into like making a hot take is always kind of fascinating too, because these are not like hot take merchants by any stretch. And Aaron and and Maggie, not people I'd say who are like throwing out their hot takes all the time. So that is also kind of entertaining in and of itself too.
Right. Yeah. More measured. Okay. But are any of these three women soft? Would you say they're soft?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, Joe says in the chat here, Maggie is a sweetheart. So does that mean soft? I don't know.
No, it does not. You can be a sweetheart and still be tough. You can still be. Yes. I do not consider Maggie to be soft. And by soft, well, how do we define soft? Okay, here's another,
that's the crux of the show today, Dawn. How do we define soft?
Clearly, it's an insult. I mean, clearly, it's something undesirable.
Yeah,
right. So I don't consider her soft. I love that, Maddie. I'll check it out. Roster hot takes from three women who don't do hot takes.
That's right.
I like it.
Should I jump into another one here, or do you want to? Okay. All right, my next one is best. Oh man, I was gonna get a clip of this and play it down. I forgot to do that. Shoot. Okay, I'll tell you what it is though. Best new old idea. What this is at the end of the season on Blue 58, our favorite John Meerdink, he does his sort of like position by position sort of breakdown, and the way he talks about it is like starting with how would the general manager sort of come into the not the general manager, how the president come to the board of directors and like kind of say, this is how this year went, here's how I did. But in the past, when he's talking through that, he talks about when you talk about about our Ginger Prince,
Yes, Mark Murphy.
Thank you. I was like, Mike McCarthy. Nope. Mike McCarthy. Nope. Mark Murphy. Another typical Mark Murphy.
Another Irish dude.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Mark Murphy, waking
everywhere.
up and having his bowl of oatmeal and putting on his sensible tie and like riding his penny farthing to work, all that stuff that he would do. That's so hilarious that we've talked about in the past. Well, he has to do a new thing because Ed Policy, is in the job now. Mm-hmm. So he's talking through Ed Policy getting up in the morning and like what the vibe is like. Mm-hmm. And so like it's a whole new set of like jokes he can make about it. And they're done respectfully, of course.
Right.
And so I wish I had the clip for you, but basically he's talking about, I think Ed Policy is a cool guy and he's trying to be a cool guy. So he wakes up, he has a cool guy breakfast. Maybe it's an egg white omelet and maybe something green. So a smoothie or something. And then he puts on his cool guy suit and his cool guy cologne that he probably got on sale from Kohl's, because I don't know why it is. There's always going to be cologne on sale at Kohl's and that's just what it is. And he gets into his cool guy car and drives to work at some, I forget what he said what the car would be because.
I'm dying to know.
You gotta listen to it.
Yes.
And puts on the Miami Vice soundtrack and goes to work, just like every little thing. I was talking about like the stuff is like his hair cream and like the scent of his cologne, all the dumb little like details about Ed Policy's waking up in the morning and going to this meeting. It was awesome, and like so a whole new era of hilarious things that John Meredith is going to ascribe to the new president for the Packers. It was awesome.
I love that. That sounds great. Now I'm dying to know what kind of car he imagined Ed Policy to drive. And then we can actually find out in reality what it is. Because, we know people. We could do that.
Yeah. Car wash for Ed Policy.
What would you say if you had a guess?
Well, like I said, I don't know cars very well. So, something that looks fancy, whether or not it actually is.
He seems like he could be a Beamer guy. I'm not a fan of Beamers at all. I find them terribly uncomfortable. And I think that's kind of a Wisconsin thing. It's like uncomfortable. Sure, let's have it. Why not?
You think so?
Embrace the uncomfortable because why not? It's Wisconsin. Okay, real quick. Most delusional fan base goes to the Bears. I'm going to enjoy this until next Sunday. Until Sunday when there's more games, I'm going to. I loved. This is a quote from Shirtless Ben. We had a great opportunity here this year. Next season is a whole different chapter. And I'm just wondering, do the Bears fans understand what that means? Strength of schedule and all that?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm now calling him Crying Shirtless Ben because he did evidently cry when he said this. I didn't watch it. I couldn't. I just looked at the transcript. I can't stand that man. And so, so it's not just strength of schedule, but it's like your position for draft picks. I mean, they've had 25, 35 years of top draft picks. And they finally made it to a playoff game and they finally beat the Packers. Oh my God. But yeah, so what did you think? I mean, what did you think of that game? Did you think the Rams were going to do better?
It felt a lot like the Packers Bears game, except only the Rams were able to finish it out, even though it was still, it was an overtime, right? It was funny that it came, at the expense of Caleb throwing yet another pick, given how during the regular season he took care of the ball really well. And he's hardly ever sacked too. So for it to kind of
come down,
fall apart in that sense, for them, and that's what led to the loss essentially, I thought was really interesting, because people talk about this person or this team or this quarterback, whatever, chokes in the playoffs. Guess what? We have somebody who can hang on Caleb Williams now as somebody who chokes in the playoffs, and isn't that great? Of course, the narrative is going to be that ridiculous, perhaps lucky throw that he had, he backpedaled 25 yards and threw it up and it, you know, wobbled in the air and came down to just the right spot. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people will say, you know, it was an amazing throw, one of the best throws I've seen. And a lot of other people will say, no, excuse me, the defense like short circuited for a second and they thought it wasn't going to go anywhere. And just happened.
Well, who thought it was going to go? Right. I could understand why the defense was like, oh, that's not going to, it's not going to make it. Yeah, that's so, like, understandable.
I mean, you can't deny that it was, you know, at the moment, in the moment.
Sure.
It was cool. It was cool. And I don't like the Bears. And it was cool. And I don't like Caleb Williams. And it was still really cool.
Right.
You know?
It was actually heroic, which is what he's known for, but that's also his heroic downfall. That's exactly what you just said. It's like that's what lost him the game. And so it, you know, when a quarterback or a player has a tendency like that, it takes forever, if ever, to train them out of that tendency.
Yeah.
And he's just second year there. So yeah.
He's young. He's got time to grow, unfortunately. We also have time to get more entrenched in his mistakes and his bad habits. So hey, maybe it goes that way. I don't know. But what I think of the game, Don, I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed you know, especially when it was over. I was like, oh, a happy man now. I had a great day that was Saturday, right? Was it Sunday when they played or Saturday?
I don't even remember. Yeah. Saturday, Sunday.
Whatever it was. Because I remember that day was great. We went out to breakfast that morning. My family did. Spent much time just playing with the kids. That was a great game. It must have been Sunday, right? Because I made a really good dinner. Yeah. Yeah. So it was just a wonderful day, a wonderful game. So really happy with
Great way to top off the evening, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was pretty predictable, and it's like they definitely have a thing that they do, and I'm just certain that every single coach in the other 31 teams will be looking at that second half game plan that they've been implementing. So it's just like Dan Campbell and his, you know, stints. So, and part of that it was Ben Johnson, but a lot of it's, I think Dan Campbell was the one. You know, whatever you call it I just lost my words, but he was like the one with the pushing the button to say yes or no. He was pushing the yes button, which is fine. And so I just think that there'll be answers for that. And so my point is, while crying shirtless Ben was speaking truth there in his press conference, I don't know that the Bears fans have really caught up with that. And I shudder to think how hard they're going to be on their team next year, because coaches are going to have a chance to go over all of this film from last year and what was he doing in the second half and have answers for it. And they're not going to have top picks, and they're going to play actually good teams throughout the season, not wait until, you know, the very end. Of course they played the Packers, but Packers, you know, it's going to be a whole different year. And I just wonder how well Bears fans are prepared for how different it's going to be next year for them.
They're not well prepared. That's the answer.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't wonder.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Maddie. Yeah, I know. It feels really good. And it's kind of like, no, I don't think this was the Packers Super Bowl or anything like that, or the Bears Super Bowl, because they it might be on the Bears part beating the Packers, but just like the Vikings, it's like they're so hyper focused. And I get that, you know, you want to beat your divisional rivals. And that's why they get more attention, but yeah, there's a whole slew of games out there next year in this every season that we're going to have to contend with. So what's your final superlative, man?
Yeah. Okay. This is a good one, Dawn. Best analysis. So, you know, this is a part of the, you know, whole entire year cycle where people are breaking down the Packers, you know, season, like what went wrong? How do we figure out what they need to do to fix things, how they're going to fix things, what kind of moves can they make? There's a lot of that, you know, in the podcasts and the articles and the videos right now. And so consumed a lot of that kind of, you know, focused content on that. And the best one, Don, the pearl I can offer you is Tyler Brook. No surprise there. He's amazing with his channel, Best Available, right? That's what it's called. And I believe it is. And the video is Rebuilding the Packers, a realistic 2026 offseason plan. Here's what I liked. He talked about kind of what went wrong, which players we're probably going to lose, what kinds of players we need to get, some ideas about some of the players we could get, talked a little about the coaching stuff. And that was all really cool. That was all really good. But then what he did to kind of set it over the top is that at the end, he did a 7-round Packers mock draft to say, I'm not just looking at like the things in front of us, like the obvious things that we just lived through. I'm also looking ahead to see like how can they improve the team, even into how they could draft. So it was a more comprehensive look than most of the stuff that I, consumed on this sort of topic. And Tyler Brick is, I think, gifted, especially at explaining things clearly with fewer words than what other people do. I say as I'm rambling.
Something we strive for. Yeah.
Conciseness. What's that? And so his points are very good. His perspective and his view of the things was wide while still being a really like watchable, snappy video. Covered a lot in the I think it's like a half hour or less. Highly recommended.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I haven't quite been ready to. I just kind of want to enjoy the end of the season and the other teams and what's going on. I haven't quite wanted to jump there yet, but this sounds like a really good transition to that.
Yeah. And actually, if I can do a side shout out too, a little plug for some of our friends. The draft fellows are getting things up and running again.
Yes. I was just going to mention that. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Andrew Murtig did a first round mock draft. So of course, unfortunately, no Packers, in there, but and released that I think yesterday on YouTube. And I watched that today at our lunch. It was really good stuff. It's good to see, Andrew back out there again, because it's been a little while since we put any content. So another thing for folks to check out, is the Draft Fellows. Seek it out. They do great work.
Seek them out. Andrew Mooch. I reposted that on Blue Sky too. I was like, okay, this could be great. I know. Of course we do. We have expended our first round already, but that's okay. That's okay. Because the Packers are very good at their lower round, their later round picks as well. So I'm not daunted. I'm not daunted at all.
Got another plug from our friends here. Joe's mentioning, for those who don't know, Joe has a really great podcast, Ohana Packers Edition, with Mike Kawano, also our friend. And Joe says, yep, we'll be starting our draft shows here in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to it, man. You guys do great work with that.
Thank you. That's a great plug too. There was one other quick superlative I had. I'm not sure what I called it. Okay. Best fan comment. This is really quick. This is also a YouTube, because you just mentioned YouTube. And this was regarding Hafley being hired as head coach to replace McDaniels in Miami. And it's from at KLOHR Klore 311. And he said, and I really liked it, he said this: fans are to blame for coaching change. The media doesn't help the flame. They gaslight it. LOL. Well, we know what he means. Every fans wants to win all the time. LOL. There are only one team can win. If it was up to the fan, there will be coaching change every year. LOL. But even though, despite the probably language barrier or whatever was happening there, I totally appreciated that comment, because a lot of, this whole talk about fire this person and fire that person and this person's terrible, and when it's like moderately, accurate, including, this team has a reputation of being soft or whatever. I think a lot of this, and I think a lot of people realize that this comes from the media fanning some of these flames because they don't have anything better to talk about. And so that's why, and that's a shout out to our own show, Matt, because we don't feature those kind of people we don't feature those kind of content creators on our show, because that's just fluff, and who needs it? And it's just distorting reality. And go Pack, go, man.
Rage bait is rage bait. It's bait. It gets clicks and views, but it's not It's not good journalism.
It's not good journal, and it's not even reality.
Yeah.
And people can see through it eventually. Maybe some people can't. Bears fans, can't, obviously, but kidding, just kidding, Bears fans.
Mostly.
I had to do that. I know. Well, that one superlative I had was really to help them out because they need to see through the fog of.
See through the fog.
Their shirtless Ben coach is actually trying to warn them about next season. Will they listen?
Will they listen? We'll see.
All right, Maddie. Any final thoughts before we bring her home? We were supposed to make this a short one because of your headache.
I was thinking that.
I'm sorry
over here, but it's worth it. No, don't apologize. I could have, if I were really committed to making a short episode, I would have rambled much less. So no apologies needed, Don. Final thoughts is, here's a really good example of an inflection point in the year where some people are shifting their focus, one way, and many people, like you said yourself, just trying to enjoy the end of the season. And so where I'm going with this is that I think that it's a good reminder to people that there is no one way to fan, and no need to judge other people for the way they fan. Some folks are going to totally drop out of even following football during the off season. That's kind of what my dad is like, for example. That's cool. Some people stay way too fixated on it throughout the year, like us, and it's all good, so there's no need to gatekeep. There's no need to get on a high horse about any of that stuff. Fan how you want to, especially because we live in such a wonderful era of access to different kinds of content where people have the ability to have their voices be heard and like make the stuff that really engages and excites them. Like, again, the draft fellows starting on mock drafts already. Some people might say, what are you doing, man? It's too early. But like that's stuff that Andrew and Kyle are really good at, and
it's so good.
A lot of joy and a lot of pride in working on, and that's cool. So a good reminder for folks as we hit this transitional time, like what you like, and it's all good.
It's all good. It's all good. And as sharp as I have been the last couple of weeks on some of the Bears stuff, still, man, c'est la vie. All power to, I'm happy I truly from the bottom of my heart happy for Bears fans for actually having a team to be proud of for a minute. Come on. It was good for them. And I've said that even last season when we talked about, the Bears might actually be good this year. And so iron sharpens iron. And that's really better for the Packers to have, better competition. Right.
Yeah.
So Packers need to step it up. Yeah.
It's really true. Like, I am legit happy for the Bears fans who aren't being, jerks about it.
Right.
One of my best friends from Chicago, she's kind of like a Bears fan, but not like a Bears fan. Right. And she was talking about how, like, right now, or like not right now, but like, a couple weeks back, there was like a sort of a collective energy in the city that, they hadn't felt around that team in a long time. And how like cool that is, and how, for any anybody who is like from a casual Bears fan to like a diehard Bears fan, just to have that sense of like, we have a team doing good things again. Like, that's cool. Chicago's a great city. I enjoyed living there for 6 years.
Oh, I love Chicago.
And, they've had it rough. So, suffice to say, I agree. And like hearing, especially like Robert Mays talking about, the season and how it's been really special for him as a lifelong Bears fan. That's cool.
It is. Like it's very cool. It's very cool. All right, Maddie. And I forgot I think I said who I was going to pick for Sunday's games for the champion.
Oh, yeah.
Who's going to go?
Who you got?
I think I said, I got Patriots, and I feel like the Seahawks are safe, but I'm not counting out the Rams. And I'm rooting for the Rams.
If I were a betting person, I'd say Patriots and Seahawks, but I too am rooting for the Rams to go all the way at this point for Devontae.
That's right.
Solely for Devontae.
Oh, and he had such a nice catch toward the end of the game. Oh my gosh, that was
clutch.
Clutch. That's what you pay the man for. All right, Maddie, let's bring her home.
All right. Well, friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know, especially now because we're going to start having more guests on since it's harder to have them on during Thursday Night Football. So we actually have a guest lined up for next week, planning to have Zach Rappert from the Unpack Pod, which we're very excited about.
Very excited.
Really, really looking forward to that one. So anyhow, nominate people. We'd love to hear who you'd like us to have on the show. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us keep spreading the love in our community. The best way
hate for the Bears. Sorry.
Jesus. The best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Just kidding. Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to have fans of you and not the Bears, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.